Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Friday edition of Moohead Radio. I'm your host with severe neck and back spasms, so you can imagine what kind of a mood I'm in. With me is Bronk. Hi, Bronk.
The booth of truth, yes.
There are some things that I do want to talk about today. Things that are, the stuff that's being talked about by Browns fans. And first one goes like this. If you're Jarvis Landry and you want to put stuff out on social media that the Browns did you wrong those years ago, because as he put it, the Browns said they were negotiating with him and were going to work out, a structure for his contract. And the next thing you knew, they had dumped him and gotten another wide receiver. All right.
Yeah.
They done me wrong story. And of course, he went on to do nothing for the New Orleans Saints. Because he's washed up. It's unfortunate. He's a great receiver, great talent, and a motivated guy.
Yeah, not a bad guy either.
No.
Let's make that clear.
I'm not attacking him personally, but I want to tell him and the people who are using this in their social media assault on the Cleveland Browns that this is business and this is football. There are people dying who play this fucking game and bodies that are broken every year, every week of the season, in the off season. This is the way the league is.
Yeah.
It's what have you done for me lately? What can you do for me right now? And if you can't do it, then we move on. And players know that. And when they are at the peak of their skills, they sign the best contracts they can. And when they get old, they try to hang on by their fingernails. So that is the point that I'm going to bring up. So now you have the Steelers trading Kenny Pickett. All right?
Yeah.
And we all saw and heard the vote of confidence by the Steelers head coach, by the people in charge in the front office. Oh, Kenny Pickett's our guy. He's our guy.
Yep.
So, how is that different? And why aren't you complaining about the Steelers organization? And the answer is because everybody's got to jump on something on social media. And
yes,
players' time come to an end one time or another. And even the best players of the game eventually have to give up the ghost. And if you don't believe me, ask Aaron Donald of the Rams. At age 32, he did the smart thing. 10 years in the league, 10 years, all 10 years. The man was an all-pro. Yeah. All 10 years. And he's retiring at 32. Good for you. You got your money, now get the hell out. Because honestly, it don't get better after 32. You had a great career. Move on. Get that excess weight off that you've been using, whatever calorie intake and
whatnot.
Yeah, just like Joe Thomas. And get the weight off, be heart healthy, and live a long and happy life. Invest your money well. You've earned it.
Yep.
Same goes to Jarvis Landry. Every ache and pain you wake up with in the morning, you did get paid for, and you decided that you still want to stick around. That's what it amounts to. Your time comes to an end. I hope that Jarvis Landry has the money. I hope he hasn't spent it all, because you just don't know. I don't know him.
No.
Hey, Browns Candy Skull, how you doing? And hi, Rick May, and hi, Amsterdam, and Mark Ross. They've traded him to the Eagles. I don't think that he's going to supplant Jalen Hurts.
Not unless Hurts gets really hurt. I'd just say that.
And, Kevin, you can make the argument. Russell Wilson, is he a stopgap? Are the Steelers, I mean, if the Steelers keep going 9-8 or 9, whatever the hell,
8-9 or
yeah, they ain't
Yep.
going to get the pick they need for quarterback, and Russell Wilson
No.
ain't going to be around for long. He may not end up on his feet after 4 weeks with the Steelers. So who knows? But if you're talking about fairness, don't talk about football. Don't talk about the owners. All right. Number 2, if you want to carry on this Flacco and Watson
God.
thing, okay?
I'm so bored with that shit.
Yeah. If you want to press forward on that, I just want to remind you that the owner of the New England Patriots did exactly what you hate Deshaun Watson for. He
Totally.
got himself hand job, except he did it in a foreign sweatshop, in illegal alien massage parlor.
Slave trade.
Slave trade is right. He
Slave
pulled
trade.
his limo right up in front and got whatever he got inside from somebody who wasn't even legally in this country. So until you start discussing all of this stuff on an equal level, shut the fuck up. Now, I'll say this because people will say, oh, he's just defending Deshaun Watson. No, I'm not. Deshaun Watson is an idiot. If you're going to carry on, you carry on, but you do it with some degree of dignity and class. If you sign a big guaranteed contract, you don't walk around showing off your expensive cars and your designer clothes. Be a little humble. People would like you more. It's just the way life is. So, again, I don't, you can paint people the way you want to paint them. I don't approve of what Deshaun Watson did, but I don't believe the women either because they weren't licensed. Okay? That's the last thing I'm ever going to say about it again. Now, as far as Joe Flacco, obviously Flacco, by all video of them playing on the same team, the two men got along fine with chest bumping each other on the sidelines. There was no sign of anything. So if we hate Deshaun Watson, we say that Watson is just getting him out of the way, and the Browns organization is concerned because the fans will want Flacco more than they want Deshaun Watson. But you know something?
That's an idiotic argument.
The Browns fan base would want anyone more than Deshaun Watson, so it has nothing to do with Joe Flacco. That has to do with the fan base and something else. If you own the Cleveland Browns, God forbid.
Yeah, I could own Browns.
If you own them and you are sitting in the chair and you see what the situation is, and you say, Deshaun Watson is coming off major shoulder surgery, and who knows what he's going to be when he comes back. And General Dog, here you go. This is this year to prove his worth. Well, that's all he's got. That's all he's got. So if you're the Cleveland Browns, what do you do? If he comes back and his shoulder gets re-injured because he's just unfixable, you put a 40-year-old quarterback in there and hope that he holds up for an entire season? Shut the fuck up. Joe Flacco was great for 4 games.
He was.
But with the Browns offensive line, he wouldn't have lasted 15 or 13. Let's get real.
No.
He's immobile And the Browns all but abandoned their running game because of circumstances and his play action pass ability. They abandoned their run game. And you want to know why Joe Flacco threw as many interceptions as he did? The reason was because he was following a game plan that was to throw the ball in a certain spot that was predicated on wide receivers getting to that spot. And he threw to that spot whether the receivers were there or not. This was not a matter of reads. These were over the middle, strength of arm, put the ball in tight space kinds of things. You saw how many of them he successfully did. But if that's what you're being asked to do over and over and over again, you're going to throw interceptions.
Correct.
And people are going to overplay those zones. And if you're throwing to a spot and you don't see somebody, it's going to get picked off and it's going to go the other way for a touchdown, which is what happened twice.
Yeah.
I'll answer this question. Former Titans coach Mike Vrabel, how do you feel about him? I think he's a real tough motherfucking guy. And I think that he fits in well. And there's no doubt that his ties with Jim Schwartz have something to do with this whole consultancy thing. Yeah. He's not going to be on the sidelines. He's not even going to be in the stadium. He's a consultant. He's biding his time until he can get a head coaching job someplace else. God bless him. He should. He didn't do a bad job with the Titans. The Titans management didn't give him a whole hell of a lot of quarterback to work with. That's for damn sure. No. He's a defensive specialist, and he preaches hard, tough football, just like Jim Schwartz does. Same kind of thing. In fact, they work together, so we know that. So I think that he's qualified. He's overqualified just to be a consultant, and he'll be back in the league as a head coach. That's a certainty. But I'm glad to see, I'm glad to see that they brought him on board because he's a tough-minded guy, and that's something that we have to keep preaching to the players.
Question about that. This hire, it's different from the Mike Holmgren legendary golf cart hire that the Browns did 10 some years ago. I hope. I mean,
repeat again.
Yeah, remember when we hired Mike Holmgren as a consultant?
Yeah, well, I mean,
this is going to be different from that. I hope.
Well, but you're not going to know it, and I'm not going to know it because it's going to be behind closed doors. I mean, we're not going to. Mike Vrabel's not going to stand in front of the press. All right, he's going to state his case to management people, and that's it. Because he doesn't want to start up. Because if he starts up with the press are cannibalistic, and he won't ever get a head coaching job if he does that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are limits. Now, a General Dog says, if I own the Browns, I wouldn't force my GM to trade. Look. The fact is, the guy who owns the Browns did that. He did Johnny Manziel. He's done all kinds of things.
Yep.
It's a different argument. If you want to hate Deshaun Watson because you're upset, and I'm not saying this is the case with Kevin, but because you're upset that the Browns got Deshaun Watson and gave him this ridiculous deal, then you're hating the wrong person. And if you're willing to pay the $700 for the season ticket price increase to put more money into that owner's pocket,
wow,
that's your business. You can do that. If you want to pay the escalating prices to watch the football games on, YouTube
League
or wherever.
Pass. Yeah, which is how I do it.
Yep. If you want to do that, fine. Stop complaining.
Mm-hmm.
That money's going right into the pocket of Jimmy Haslam and D. Now,
absolutely,
if you love football and you just can't get yourself enough of that football, which I get, you're a fan, then you just got to shut the fuck up because you're not the owner. And the bottom line is it gives us grist for the mill and leaves us complaining and this and that, but you have a choice. If it bothers you as much as it's bothering some of these people online, maybe you should take a step back. Instead of just being triggered like this, just take a step back and say, I'm going to take a season off. I don't want to watch Deshaun Watson fail. And let me tell you something. There's a 50% chance, 5-0, 1 in 2 chance that he fails.
Oh,
that
absolutely.
he gets re-injured and he's never going to be able to play again. And
Yeah.
and yes, it was a stupid thing, another knee-jerk thing that the owner did. But he's the owner. I mean, you think it was a good idea for Woody Johnson to get Aaron Rodgers? You think that was a good move? The guy's spouting all these bizarre conspiracy theories. He can't keep his fucking mouth shut.
Wow.
And they gave a 40-year-old guy a 3-year deal. And the first series that he's in, he goes down.
My leg.
Yeah. You think that was a smart deal?
No.
I mean, look at all the teams that are losing in the league. Is that a smart deal?
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, if you look at the statistics of Baker Mayfield after his playoff season, was that a good deal for a top pick?
Oh.
I mean, come on. Let's just be real about this stuff. Instead of pointing it all in one direction, let's just fan out, because honestly, there's a lot of bad decisions that have been made. A lot of them. The bad wide receivers, the Anthony Schwartzes, and the bad draft picks, the unwillingness to get young, vital wide receivers, staying with players far too long on the offensive line, waiting for them until they get completely crippled and not replacing them. And if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, drafting Kenny Pickett, Mr. Little Hands. Not a good move. And now the way you get out of it is to get a 35-year-old guy who's pretty well washed up to pick up the pieces for now and pray to the baby Jesus that you're going to find a way to get a quarterback. And I don't know how you're going to do that. But the future ain't Russell Wilson. That much we know. So there's that. Now, how would you like this? Because I just got done just pissing all over ownership. And Kevin, that's not a bad thought. But, honestly, he's going to be a head coach. He doesn't want to be a DC. Vrabel wants to be a head coach, and he did well enough to deserve another chance. As far as Schwartz getting hired away, well, not if he does stupid things like he did against the Texans. There's no risk of that. I can tell you that. If you were the Tennessee Titans, Mike Vrabel's former team, and you were willing to put $50 million guaranteed, $92 million overall into Calvin Ridley, right? And the reason you did it was that you were going to outbid the Jaguars.
Wow.
And that's really what it came down to. Two teams battling, just battling for one player. And I'm going to read this to you so that you can just look at me the way I'm kind of looking at you right now. After facing each other twice during the regular season, the Titans and Jaguars faced off for a third time in free agency in a battle for Calvin Ridley. Well, the Titans swooped in at the last minute and signed Ridley to a 4-year, $92 million contract, including $50 million guaranteed. After he finished with 76 receptions for 1,016 yards and 8 touchdowns for the Jags last season. Ridley's decision to join the Titans over the Jaguars was a tough one. And here's what Calvin Ridley said, and I want you to put your boots in the position of where the Jaguars are standing right now and where the Titans are standing. And how would you like it if you were the Titans and the guy you gave that much money to and guaranteed money to said this? I really wanted to honestly be with the Jags, but there was a lot of things that wasn't working out for me, Ridley said during his news conference. Obviously, the money was pretty good, so I went with that. And yeah, I'm here. Oh, my God. Ridley added he waited until Wednesday to make the final decision.
Wow.
And that's interesting that he waited until Wednesday, because that impacted one of the conditions in the Jaguars' trade to acquire him from the Falcons 2 years ago. The Falcons traded Ridley to Jacksonville for conditional 2023 sixth round and 2024 fourth round picks. The 2023 pick would become a fifth rounder if Ridley was reinstated. The 2024 pick would have become a second round pick if Jacksonville signed Ridley to an extension before Wednesday. Now they only have to send a third round pick to Atlanta. And you're telling me it's not just one gigantic business? So you got a guy going to Tennessee who could give a shit about Tennessee and the Titans, but the money was good. And you got the Jags who say, oh my God, we did everything we could to keep him. But, there was a clause that was triggered that saved us, so we didn't have to give away a second round pick. We have to give away a third round pick. On and on and on. And you're wondering about Jarvis Landry. Why is he curious? It's like, they done me wrong. Grow up. Put your big boy pants on. Grow up. This is business. And it's nothing more than that.
Wow. I don't know what
And then
say.
this. Ridley also connected emotionally with the Titans front office. Here's his quote. I just feel I'm going to be able to be a grown man here. This team showed me they want me here for a while, and they told me already they're going to treat me like a grown man.
Wow.
So that means you really wanted to be in Jacksonville, but they treated you like a little boy.
That's so bizarre.
I mean, what? So you're going to take what Jarvis Landry says after he's played a concussive sport for how many years? And you're going to take that shit seriously? Don't. Because all these players. Ridley is 29 years old.
Wow.
So there's that. Pretty amazing, isn't it? So, to go back once and for all to the Browns, Flacco, and Jameis Winston. Do I like Jameis Winston? No. If you watch the program, Mr. Crab Legs ain't my guy. He was as high a pick as there could be, first round, and he hasn't lived up to it. All right? That's why he's willing to settle for a one-year deal, an approve-it deal, just so he can prove himself to the league. That's what he's down to now. So do I like him? No. Do I like the fact that he changed a head coach's play call so that he could hand off a ball to a guy in a game they were winning by 40 points so he could score a touchdown? No.
No.
I don't like that either. Right? But honestly, there's a better chance that Jameis Winston's body would hold up over 12 games than Joe Flacco.
Correct.
And that's the reason why it was done.
Yeah.
There's no other reason. Because right now, the Browns have to say to themselves, God, what if? And what if always happens to the Browns? You know that.
Oh, God. I mean, if we didn't do that deal, we would end up with Flacco for 5 games and DTR for 7. You know? We can't have that.
Under the circumstances, it was a great feel-good story. 4 games does not a season make. Ask anybody who Gardner Minshew's played for.
Yeah, or Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Anyone, yeah, right. Anyone can have that kind of a run. And I'm not diminishing. I thought it was really wonderful because I like Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
I like him. Never had a problem with him. But I always said that if you made him throw off his back foot, he would throw a ton of interceptions. That's when he was with the Ravens. That's all I ever said about him. And that's the case. Continues to be the case, and it will be in Indianapolis. In Indianapolis, they don't have a quarterback. Sam Urlacher is their fucking quarterback. Are you give me a break? They don't have one. They are going to draft somebody, which is great. That's what they should do. And this year will be Joe Flacco. So he will have exactly what he wants. He's going to get $4.5 million, and he is going to start. And let's keep an eye on how long he lasts physically. And we'll see if my analysis is correct. Because my analysis is better than your analysis.
Your analysis, yes.
Correct.
Yeah,
Thank
I was
you.
waiting for that one.
Yep. It's predictable for you because you've been listening for God knows how many decades.
I have, and usually agree, don't I? I usually agree.
Yeah. And,
Anyway.
here's the headline, Jameis Winston brings these three positives and one notorious negative to the Browns. Well, you know something? If you want good citizens and Boy Scouts, then you can take all the players off the Steelers, all the players off the Ravens. Look at the players who've gone to the Ravens and beaten women or held knives while people were being murdered.
Even the fucking Bengals, man.
I mean, if you're looking for character, don't look for character in people who get paid to beat other people up. Don't look for character in that because there is none to be found. The whole game's brutal. That's it. The three positives, well, he's got size, he's got an arm, he throws touchdown passes. The one notorious negative, besides, of course, what he did in 2017, that he throws a lot of interceptions. Well, so it goes. He's a backup quarterback, and that's why he's in the position to be a backup quarterback and not a starting quarterback, and why nobody went out of their way to say, we're going to start you. That's why. No more. Those days are over for him. But he's 30 versus 40. And if you're the Cleveland Browns and you wiped out your quarterback room, DTR's not a professional quarterback.
No.
And I saw people mentioning him, and it's like, no, he looks like Mr. Pretzel. I mean, he's got no arm strength and he's got no physical size. He's not ever going to make it in the NFL. And PJ Walker, that's no arm talent and more interceptions than Flacco and Winston together. Yeah. To me, it's just nuts. The whole thing is talking about nothing. Simple stuff. And if I were the owner, I would look at the situation and say, 50% chance the $250 million man is not going to make it. You bet I'm going to put in the most durable guy I can find. They wanted Jacoby Brissett. Let's be honest about that.
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone. And that's because he gets to start 1 year with the Patriots.
Yeah.
And he has to put up with Bill Bellyache. What?
Ryan Tannehill, I think, is still out there.
Sure.
Can you imagine?
Yeah. Well, they're people hanging on by their fingernails, and they're hoping if they have that one great moment, they can end up being a starting quarterback. And that's why I'm happy for Joe Flacco. He had those 4 great games.
He did.
And nothing can take that away from him. And I feel great for him. And he is starting for the Indianapolis Colts. There's no downside to that. Now we sit back and watch, just like we did with Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, it's amazing, becomes Jesus fucking Christ, okay? When he's not with the Browns. But when once he got into the playoffs the following year, what did you hear about? Well, he was hurt. And he was hurt. Why was he hurt? I forget. Well, he tried to tackle somebody
and
for no good fucking reason, and he injured himself. Yeah. Now, I would say, well, Deshaun Watson was injured. His shoulder was fucked up. It's like, oh, no, he's a rapist. Let's be honest about the whole thing. If Baker Mayfield had put together multiple playoff seasons in succession for the Cleveland Browns, he would be making a ton more money, and he would have
the $300 million guaranteed.
Yeah, he would have put Kirk Cousins to shame. Absolutely,
he would have done. Yeah,
but he didn't.
He didn't.
He's a roller coaster ride, and the ride's going on in Tampa. All right, so we'll see what happens.
It went up this year, It might go right down next year.
We just sit back and watch. That's kind of the way it works. And it's funny that with the Vikings acquiring a second first-round pick in a trade with the Texans, that's really great. So they replaced Kirk Cousins, and this will be Exhibit 3 in the Jarvis Landry. And I hope somebody tells Jarvis Landry about this podcast. Somebody should. If anyone can just go to his Twitter and just write to him this, and I love Jarvis Landry. He was a great receiver.
Yeah, he's not a bad person.
I mean, the guy held on to things. Great hands, ran precise patterns. He was a great presence to the locker room because he was preparedness personified. A pro's pro. But you shouldn't have to explain to somebody the business that they chose to be in. That's like Hyman Roth complaining in Godfather 2. It's the business that we chose. There are no excuses. You know what you were getting into. So here we go. Kirk Cousins departs. The Minnesota Vikings acquiring Houston Texans first-round draft pick. And they're gonna select a quarterback for sure. But just fucking yesterday, when they asked the goddamn GM and the head coach, so this is all but certain now that you're gonna end up drafting a quarterback, they said, not necessarily. We got Sam Darnold. Why don't you check Sam Darnold's Twitter feed and see if he's belly aching about it? Because Sam Darnold's hanging on by his fingernails. And he's like, oh, praise the baby Jesus, I got a job. I don't care if I start. I don't care. I'll carry a fucking clipboard. I will, because it's a payday. But there will come a day when Sam Darnold can't even get that. They came for Jarvis Landry. I'm sorry, but this is the business that you're in. This is what you chose. When the going's good, it's really good. But when you can't do nothing for me, we're done with you. That's the NFL. You don't have health insurance. You die without a memory. You're crippled and arthritic for life because they don't care about you. Hello, McFly. So Sam Darnold went in 24 hours from being, no, we'd be more than happy to go through the season with Sam Darnold to the next day. Yeah, get the first round pick. What have we done? Just so you know.
Wow.
The Bears have acquired Keenan Allen from the Chargers. That Keenan Allen is like, wow, that guy was a really good player for a fourth round pick. What a deal. He's 31. Yep. He's due for, he's at the end of a 4-year contract that he signed in 2020 and is due a $5 million roster bonus before Sunday. So there you go. After declining to take the pay cut from the Chargers, bingo, he's with the Bears, who still have Justin Fields. Isn't that great? He's got DJ Moore, and he's got 31-year-old Keenan Allen now. Allen is a 6-time Pro Bowl selection. He caught a career high 108 passes last season. Best output of his 11-year career, 1,243 yards and 7 touchdowns. And all they could get from him was a 4th-round pick. You tell me why.
He's old. That's
right. And one of these times going across the middle will be the last time. It's, Chicago is expected to use the number 1 pick on a quarterback. USC's Caleb Williams, the likely one. So There you have that. But they publicly lied about Sam Darnold.
Yep.
Oh, God.
There's still some ex-Browns out there in free agency. On two of them, Jadeveon Clowney's out there still.
Does that surprise you?
Kevin Zeitler, age 34, is still
Wow.
out there. He's looking for his 4th NFL contract. Can you imagine that? And Emmanuel Ogbo's still out there.
Yeah. Now, Agba actually, his best years were behind him, but he did get like 5 or 6 sacks last year. But
he's only 30.
Yeah, but 30
and as an edge rusher is like 40.
The magic number in the NFL.
Yeah.
Double P saying Kenny didn't like the fact that the Steelers traded for Russell Wilson. Well, you know something? And Jarvis Landry didn't like the fact that the Browns didn't give him money to get hurt.
Yeah.
Of course, the player's not going to be happy.
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett did nothing to establish himself as a quarterback in Pittsburgh. Nothing. It was so bad. It was so bad at the end that they gave Mason Rudolph a shot. Yeah.
Yep, Mason Rudolph. And now he's gone. They don't have any backup quarterback at the moment. Maybe they'll get that Duck guy back in there.
Yeah. I mean, what's the deal? What is confusing about this? The Steelers didn't think that Kenny Pickett could be a quarterback in the NFL, and he didn't show anybody that he could.
Yep.
So that's the way it goes. But they don't have a draft pick out of it, so they got a 35-year-old man. But is anybody really saying, I don't know, man, that really puts them in a bad position? No, because they're the Steelers.
Yep.
The national media is not going to jump on that. But the fact of the matter is, yeah, I'd say that with a 35-year-old quarterback, if he gets hurt, which is a likelihood, by the way, just like it would be for, 40-year-old Joe Flacco, if he gets hurt in a rival game against the Ravens, who injure quarterbacks for a living, then they have no backup quarterback. Then they're going to lose every game they're in, and then they'll get the number 1 pick, and then they'll get the quarterback
they'll
want.
get the next Terry Bradshaw, because that's how they got Bradshaw. Pickett, Rudolph signed with the Titans, and Trubisky signed with the Bills. So at the moment, they just have Russell Wilson at quarterback, and that is it.
Now, actually, Rick, if you really want to get technical, they both got crabs, but only one paid for them. I'm sorry. But yeah, I felt compelled. Yeah, I see. Yeah, I see where you're going there. Devin Bush is now a Brown.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, Devin Bush, if you want to know the story of Devin Bush, high pick, first-round pick for the Steelers.
Yeah.
Big hitter, but he had no idea which direction to go in. And they couldn't teach him because he doesn't learn well.
Yeah, he's a bit Barkevius Mingo-y, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, just always the wrong angle, that kind of thing. That's who he is. And he ain't going to help the Cleveland Browns any. That's for damn sure. He ain't going to help anybody. He's at the end of his rope. And I don't know about DTR in Canada unless he's trying to escape the draft. I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we didn't get Brissett too, because how many times?
Yeah.
Can you bring the same girl to the prom?
Yeah.
Enough's enough. And here's Tony. It's all a PR game. Jameis sucks. Not as much as your quarterback.
Sam Darnold?
That's not a PR game. That's a sham. That's the sham wow guy. Oh, man. And now Tony's going to clarify his position. It's all a PR game. Jameis is worse than Deshaun on his worst day. And if Deshaun's health doesn't hold up, Foghorn Haslam doesn't want the egg on his face that his backup is better than his money man. Well, you know something? No money man. Because Deshaun hangs with a buffalo stance. That's all I have to say about that. I was just popping your Nana cherry. There are going to be some people who are laughing at this and some people saying he's old and he's losing it. Jameis is worse than Deshaun. Yeah, that's why he's the backup, Tony. If he was better, he'd be the starter. Hello, McFly.
I think he means that Winston's best day is still worse than Deshaun's worst day. But even that's a very mute point.
Yeah.
However you want to say that.
Yeah, it's a moot point, and not because of a cow.
Mute point.
No, it is
a moo point.
And as far as Haslam doesn't want egg on his face, Haslam doesn't care.
Haslam. It's D who runs the feed anyway.
Woo! I cheated people. Woo! I cheated people out of their money. Woo! And I'm going to cheat them again when I get this new stadium built. And all the people in Northeast Ohio are going to pay for it for me. Woo! Yeah. Man has no shame. Come on. Man's got no shame. He's an owner in the NFL. God almighty.
Yeah, he's a donor in the NFL and not the worst one or the most corrupt one. So imagine that.
Now, here's the other thing. Chiefs have signed Marquise Hollywood Brown. Okay. And it's like, how come it's only the Chiefs who get it? You know, it's like, it's because they have wide receivers who are fast. Marquise Hollywood Brown can run straight down the field, but that's about it, folks. And we don't have a system in Cleveland that has anyone who runs fast down the field because we don't have any plays for that. No. Let me explain to you something if you haven't been watching the Cleveland Browns. I'll make it real simple for you. Like you're a 5-year-old. You have guys who are a bunch of 4'8", 4'6", 4'5", wide receivers. All right.
Yeah.
And you have a zone blocking running game, and you had the best running back in the game, Nick Chubb, when he was healthy. And the idea is that you throw the ball, intermediate patterns, and I'll do it like this for you. If you're a baseball fan and you remember Roger Clemens.
Yeah.
All right. And you throw a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, right? Or Justin Verlander, if you want to come up to a little bit more contemporary times. And you got a fastball and a curveball. Nolan Ryan, the best example, right? Nobody is sitting on a changeup, okay?
Yeah.
So if you're the Cleveland Browns, the deep ball is your changeup. Your fastball and your curve is your running game and your intermediate passing game, your tight ends. You got it? Marquise Hollywood Brown running straight down the field would be no different than Anthony Schwartz running down the field or anybody else running down the field. He'd be ignored because you can catch somebody occasionally asleep, but that's not your bread and butter. Never going to be. The Chiefs may get something out of Marquise Hollywood Brown because they have a downfield passing game. We don't. DeAndre Black is asking me a question. Hey, Moo, what would you do with the second pick? I haven't even had a chance to think about that because all I saw in free agency, the Browns didn't get better. They got older. That's seriously.
You're right. I'm just laughing.
So what would I'd get a younger guy with the second pick. I have no idea. With as many needs as the team has, God only knows.
Best player available. But
yeah,
I'd like an offensive lineman that could possibly start this year. That's what I would want with the second round pick.
I'm glad I brought a smile to somebody's face today. It makes me feel whole. And this is what I mean by not getting better, getting older. All right. Michael Dunn re-signs with the Browns.
Woohoo!
All right. Now, Jerry Jeudy, he's 25, so I can't use that. All right.
Yeah.
Jordan Hicks signs with the Browns.
Woohoo!
31 years old. Hakeem Adeniji signs with the Browns. Shelby Harris is back. He's one year older.
Do the gong of truth for Shelby Harris.
Oh, Shelby.
Yeah, we like him.
Yeah, I do. I like him,
Yeah,
but he
we
is
like him.
older. Nyheim Hines signs with the Browns. I'm just going over what we've done so far.
Yeah.
Nyheim had, I think, 2 rushes last year. I'm serious. I'm not joking about this.
He's a return specialist or something.
I don't know what he is.
We have great luck with those guys. Just ask Jakeem Grant.
Yeah. Yeah, he's never going to play football again now, is he?
Yeah.
You know, so we have a bunch of people, and then, Maurice Hurst, he's back. Yeah, he's eating. All right. Yeah. So did we get better? No, we got older. That's, I guess, the way that I look at that.
Yeah.
And now with one line, I will say, before I get out of here, what's wrong with college football? Oh, and I do want to say something about the Cavaliers after this. All 9 FBS conferences and Notre Dame have agreed to the next college football playoff contract. Why is that fucking Catholic college allowed to be a standalone entity? And why do people bend over and suck their dick?
It's beyond me.
So now there'll be the 14-team field in the postseason of FBS football. And Notre Dame will get all the hype that they can possibly get, even though they suck. All right. That's what's wrong with college football. Now, the Cavaliers, what a big win. They played the New Orleans Jazz.
Yeah, and I didn't see any of it.
I'm sorry, Pelicans. But they played like the New Orleans Jazz. Second verse, same as the first. Here's what happened in the game. Cavaliers shot 20 of 45 from 3-point range.
That'll be pretty good.
They had won a bunch of games in a row, and in their last, I want to say, they had won like 12 of their last 17 games or something like that. And they had guys who were shooting the 3-ball lights out. They were 2 for 28 the beginning by the fourth quarter of the game from 3, right? And a lot of those threes were jacked in the end when the game was already decided. Meanwhile, what they were doing while they were giving up bombs to Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, and Sam Merrill, and Isaac Okoro, they were attacking our threes with 2s inside. Let's give all of the possessions to Brandon Ingram, who's a good ball player, don't get me wrong, and fat boy Zion Williamson, who owns the organization. All right. I mean, Zion, I remember when he came into the league from Duke. You remember?
Yeah.
I thought that he was like a double threat guy, that he could shoot the 3, he could go to the basket. Do you know how many threes he's averaging per game?
1.
0.5.
0.5. Wow,
0.5.
that many.
Right. So now it's just lower his big burly shoulders into somebody and shoot 2-point layups. And it's like, oh, wow, Zion. And his team gets the fuck beaten out of him. You know how bad they got beat up?
How bad did they get beat
In
up?
the fourth quarter of the game, they had taken 25 free throws, and the Cavaliers had taken 1.
1. Wow.
And they were still losing by double digits. How is that possible?
I don't know. Ziva the Wolf doesn't know either.
Yeah.
No.
So, what can I tell you? The Cavaliers whipped, the Llama's ass in New Orleans and blew them out on their home floor. And we're going to need to do that more often because we got so many away games coming up. And it was nice to see Darius Garland not worrying about driving his skinny little bony ass into the paint and just stepping back and hitting threes and pulling up and shooting shots. Because having Donovan Mitchell back, even though Donovan was not going to the basket because his knee still isn't completely right yet, his presence on the floor gives Garland the opportunity to put up those shots. And why do you think Sam Merrill suddenly had a better game? People are saying, what's wrong with Sam? He's not making these shots. Well, if you don't have threats on the court to shoot threes, you can just hunker down on him. But
Correct.
when you have Donovan Mitchell in there and then you have Darius Garland making threes, you got to pay the piper. And you got to leave somebody open. And it was Sam Merrill, and he made them. That's who Sam Merrill is.
Yeah.
He's Kyle Korver. He's a guy who's not the primary guy. He's a guy who will take advantage of spacing on the floor because of other guys who the defense is lingering around. It was great watching the game, though. I had a great time with that. And it was entertaining, to say the least. Cavaliers back on the floor again tomorrow. And this road trip continues. And we'll see how long we can hold on. It's going to be a challenge, but fun watching. And and DJ Brobot is saying, can anyone even tell me if we improved? No, we have not improved.
No, we have not. Yet. No one.
No.
That's why I'm saying Kevin Zeitler's still out there. Let's bring him back.
Oh, you know something? Zion's rookie. Is that the one where he's eating a Twinkie? Enough.
Amsterdam would know that.
Yeah. JB Bickerstaff was finally forced back into the injury lineups he hates. Exactly. You know, it's like, I'm not going to play CPJ. I'm not going to. It's like, okay. You know, and I'll tell you what's interesting, and I'll leave with this and plant this in your mind because it's strange. When three players are on the court for the Cleveland Cavaliers, they have their highest offensive ratings. That would be Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, and the third is Jarrett Allen, not Evan Mobley. I'll just leave that to linger in your mind for a while. I'll thank everybody for tuning into this edition of Moohead Radio, and we'll see what happens as time moves on. I'll be back again on Monday. Until then, hasta la vista, Pasture Heads. Good night.